Imagine an ocean of sand stretching to infinity under a sky of fire. This is the Sahara, and for 1,000 years, it wasn't a barrier, but a highway. From 500 to 1500 AD, this vast, unforgiving desert was the heart of an epic story of trade, ambition, and survival. And at the center of it all was a land we now call Niger, a crucial artery pumping life, wealth, and sorrow across the African continent. Before the lines on modern maps were ever drawn, Niger was the corridor that connected two worlds. To the south, in West Africa, lay empires rich with gold, a metal so abundant it was said to gleam from the very earth. To the north, across the Sahara, lay civilizations hungry for that gold, possessing a treasure of their own: salt. In a time before refrigeration, salt wasn't just a seasoning, it was life itself, preserving food and sustaining communities. So the caravans began. Great processions of camels, the ships of the desert, were loaded with precious cargo. But this trade wasn't just about gold and salt, it was a complex web of exchange. From the south came not only gold, but also ivory, cola nuts, and tragically, human beings, captured in conflicts often fueled by the very demand for trade goods. From the north came salt, but also fine textiles, shimmering glass beads, tools, and horses that would empower new kingdoms. The journey was a brutal test of endurance. Traders and their caravans faced scorching days, freezing nights, blinding sandstorms, and the constant threat of raiders who stalked the dunes. Water was more precious than gold, and a dry well could mean a slow, agonizing death for an entire party. Every successful crossing was a victory against the elements, a testament to human resilience and desperation. The traders, men of incredible fortitude from groups like the Berbers and Tuareg, became masters of the desert, their knowledge of the stars and the subtle shifts in the landscape guiding them through the deadly expanse. As this trade flourished, so did the cities along its routes. Places like Agadez in modern-day Niger grew from simple watering holes into bustling centers of commerce and culture. Here merchants from distant lands met, haggling in a dozen different languages. Mosques and universities rose from the desert floor as Islam spread along these trade routes, bringing with it new laws, new knowledge, and a new written script, Arabic, which became the language of commerce and scholarship. Great empires owed their existence to this Trans-Saharan trade. The Ghana Empire, followed by the Mali and Songhai empires, controlled the southern terminals of the trade routes. They grew fantastically wealthy by taxing the gold that passed through their lands. The tales of their riches reached Europe and the Middle East, sparking legends of golden cities in the heart of Africa. Think of Mansa Musa, the emperor of Mali, whose pilgrimage to Mecca in the 14th century was so lavish, his caravan laden with so much gold, that he single-handedly disrupted the economy of Cairo for years. This was the power of the Trans-Saharan Trade. But we must remember the profound human cost. The wealth that built empires and adorned palaces was intertwined with immense suffering. The demand for labor in the salt mines of the north and in the households and armies of distant rulers fueled a devastating slave trade. For every merchant who grew rich, countless individuals were torn from their homes and families, their lives forever altered, their stories lost to the whispering sands. The caravans carried not just goods but also grief, their long shadows stretching over generations. The social structure of the regions involved was also transformed. A new class of wealthy merchants emerged, holding significant power and influence. Kings and rulers consolidated their authority by controlling the flow of goods. But this also created new tensions. As some communities prospered, others were marginalized or conquered. The very wealth that brought prosperity also sowed the seeds of conflict, as kingdoms vied for control of the lucrative trade routes. By the late 15th century, the world was changing. New maritime technologies were emerging. European explorers, particularly the Portuguese, began sailing down the coast of West Africa. They sought to bypass the long, arduous Trans-Saharan routes and trade for gold directly. This marked the beginning of the end for the golden age of the desert caravans. As sea routes became the new highways of global commerce, the sands of the Sahara began to reclaim the once thriving trade paths. The cities that had blossomed in the desert began to fade, their wealth dwindling, their importance shifting. The decline was not instantaneous. For a time, the old routes competed with the new, but the tide of history had turned. The focus of global trade shifted from the continental interior to the coasts. The great camel caravans, which had defined an era, were slowly replaced by sailing ships. The 1,000-year reign of the Trans-Saharan Trade was drawing to a close, leaving behind a legacy as vast and complex as the desert itself. What remains today? The echoes of this epic era are everywhere. They're in the stunning mud brick architecture of Agadez, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They live on in the traditions of the Tuareg people, the descendants of the great caravan leaders, and they are buried beneath the sand. The remnants of lost caravans, the forgotten stories, the silent testimony to an age of incredible connection and heartbreaking cost. The rise and fall of the Trans-Saharan Trade is a powerful reminder that history is never simple. It's a story of human ingenuity and courage, of cultural exchange and the birth of empires, but it's also a story of exploitation and sorrow. It teaches us that progress and prosperity often come with a hidden price, and that the connections that bind us can also be the chains that break us. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our world's incredible history. What part of this story stood out to you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.